All right. Good morning, everybody. Post rainy night. I didn't know if my computer was going to work this morning, but we're good. It's 8:04 Wednesday, April 28th. Let's begin with a roll call. Members, myself, I'm filling in for our chair this morning. I'm Alex Zacharias. Alderman Lynn Gerlach.
Here.
Chuck Yang. No Chuck Yang. Liaison representatives, Beth Lemke.
Present.
Here. Sorry.
And Matt Vanden Boomen.
Here.
And did I miss anybody? I don't think I did.
Did you mention Kent? Is Kent here?
Is
Kent
Kent Hutchinson?
We are excused.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. Chuck is here as well.
All right. Good morning, Chuck.
Good morning.
Approval of the agenda. The approval of the agenda for April 28, 2021, meeting of the Green Bay Public Arts Commission.
Move to approve.
All those in favor?
Second.
We have to second.
Oh, second. I'm sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
those against? All right. Approval of minutes for February 24, 2021.
Move to approve.
Can I get a
Second.
second? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? All right. It's approved. Regular business. Consideration with possible action to select final artworks and designate artwork placement for the Rotating Art Program 2021-2022 season. Go ahead.
So this year we sent out our call for the Rotating Art Program season. We received 11 submissions total from 7 artists. There's no limit on how many submissions an artist can submit. We don't have that in our guidelines. So we received 11 submissions total. We have 6 locations that we need to fill. So we have to whittle this down. We have to whittle the 11 down to 6 final pieces. I asked you guys for your scores on that grading criteria earlier, so I do have some beginning numbers for us to go off of if we'd like. We've also invited the area, the neighborhood associations that these pedestals are located in. We've invited them to the meeting, so I know that we have some members of the public here, as well as some of the artists. It wasn't a requirement for the artists to join us, but for those who could join us, they are here as well. So I don't know if we want to kick things off first with reviewing the scores that you guys presented first, or opening the floor. Is there a
Laura,
preference?
could you just go over where the sites are located?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can pull up a map or not, but
Let me get that set up real quick.
just so we have some idea of kind of where they are in the city.
Laura, you are a co-host, so you can share your screen at any time.
Beautiful. Bum, 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 bum. All right, are you guys seeing a map?
Yes.
Yes.
Beautiful. These are the 6 locations that we have throughout the city. I've color coordinated them and also listed the neighborhood association that is associated with that site. So we have, do you want me to list through them or?
I'm just thinking for people who aren't familiar with the sites, it's just, you can see that they're kind of all over, right?
Yeah.
I know there are people here specifically for their sites, I'm thinking, so it just gives them an idea of where they are.
Yep. RAP Site 1 is a corner of Fisk and Dousman. It's the Perkins Park Area Neighborhood Association, which is currently inactive. I didn't have a contact to invite from that neighborhood association. Site number 2 is located at the corner of 12th and Mason, and that is the Tank Park Neighborhood Association. Site number 3 is at the corner of Shawano and 12th, and that is Western Corridor Neighborhood Association. Site 4 is at Oakland and Walnut, and that is Seymour Park Neighborhood Association. Site 5 is near Lake Memorial Park, and that is the Fort Howard Neighborhood Association. And then Site 6 is Irwin and East Shore, which is actually near the East Shore Drive Neighborhood Association.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura.
No problem. Are we good on this?
Laura,
Yeah.
I should say that is still part of ours. We go to the corner there.
Does it?
Yeah, our sign is off. They wouldn't let us put it over there. So our sign's off a little bit more by the sanctuary entrance. But I believe, yeah, we do include Bay Beach.
Okay. We'll have to update the website then because your borders are off a bit. So.
Yeah, we technically did always have Bay Beach, but.
Okay. That's good to know. Thank you. So I can also show you guys all of the pieces that we have in question today. So these are the 11 submissions that we received. I've listed them alphabetically, not alphabetically, but to try and keep this as fair as possible. I've removed the artist names and replaced them with letters. So the letter is just associated with that artist's work. So A1, A2, it's by the same artist and so on and so forth. Do we want scores? I think that
I can't see all 11.
Are you not seeing the?
I'm seeing a lot of them, but I can't see. I got through glass number 3. There might be one behind the screen showing us on the Zoom.
Okay.
Yep. You can minimize that side screen, Alder. If you look at the top, there's a little hashtag there that minimizes that screen so you can see everything on the screen.
I don't see view. No.
Yep. When you go to the top, there's a little dash line, or there's a grid of boxes that kind of helps you decide how you want to see people.
It just says view with a box.
Okay.
View options. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. You can change how you see people in that.
Alder LaFave, at the top right corner of your screen, do you see a thing that looks like a Rubik's Cube, and next to it, it looks like a big fat equal sign? Do you see that?
Just the Rubik's Cube and view, the word view. View options. Okay, just a minute.
Okay,
I don't want to
there you
take up
go.
your time. I'm sorry.
Choose the little one that looks like one little minus sign.
No, there's no minus sign. That's okay. That's okay for now. I'll try this other one. Fit to window. No, that's okay. That's okay.
See, I knew Alder LaFave and I speak the same language. We remember what a Rubik's Cube is.
Yeah, I do too. I never figured out how to do it, but I remember those.
Got a side by side, but I still only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay, I got the 11. Okay, I got it. Takes a while.
Out of these 11, I can share the scores. So I received scores from majority of the commissioners and liaisons, and from the scores that I had received, combined them all and got a ranking of the following. Did my scores show up? There. So out of
The same screen, Laura, I don't know if you're trying to change that, but the same screen is on.
So there, do you see the numbers located beneath the names?
Yep, gotcha.
So those, it's very subtle.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Gotcha.
So out of all the pieces, A2 Scalar was rated, Fettle ranked number 2, Quilt ranked in at number 3, Basics number 53 ranked in at 4, Cuba Cactus was number 5, and then Untitled was number 6, and then following Teepee was 7, and then Through the Looking Glass 1 was 8, Through the Looking Glass 2 is 4, or sorry, Through the Glass number 4 is 9, Through the Glass number 2 is 10, and then Through the Glass number 3 ranked in at 11. So out of all of these, you guys, all of the scores came in pretty close. So we do have pieces selected 1 through 6. 2 of them are created from the same artist. I don't know if that's a concern to be granting one artist multiple opportunities. Like I said before, we don't have anything in our guidelines that says that we can't do that. So that's really up to you guys whether or not you want to share the love, or since they did rank so high, they're quality pieces for sure. So that's up for discussion.
Yeah, I believe that might be something we should consider for the future, so that we can get as many artists involved. In this case, I guess a duplication of an artist is okay, but I think as a group we need to figure out how to make it more available to as many artists. And that's it. Anybody else want to share?
I think if we do decide on that, we might want to think about changing the guidelines to only being able to submit one, so that we're not asking an artist to submit a bunch, knowing that only one of their pieces is going to have an opportunity. I think that'd just be fair on both ends then.
I think the only concern also would be if there's, say, only 2 artists that submit 6 pieces. We'd have to include that there's potential access that they may have more than one pieces shown.
What I don't want it to suffer is the quality of our pieces as well. You know, that we're doing it because it's a good thing. It should the art. I believe the art itself should dictate that. So. But I love the choices so far. Any further discussion on this? Can
I ask a question?
Yes.
Where do you send out the request? Who do you send it out? Is it just in the Green Bay area? Do you go outside Green Bay?
So I released the call. The call is available on on the city website. We share it through our Facebook page. And then from our Facebook page, I share it through a number of local arts groups that I'm part of. And then in addition to those opportunities, I also share it on Portal, Wisconsin, which is a statewide arts and culture and humanities hub, really, for opportunities. And then I've also shared it on publicartist.com, which is a nationwide, actually, I think it's worldwide, call site. And then Entry Thingy, which is also another free nationwide call site.
And on Facebook as well, I believe, right? Yes.
Yep. That's the first one, and then from there it expands outwards.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood had put out and I don't know, we have a couple artists in our neighborhood, and we put out a request to them to get in contact with you. And I don't know if they're doing anything, maybe they're not doing anything right now, but we were hoping to get someone locally and also to do something that really ties in with our area. bay and everything. We're hoping to get something more realistic into the animals, the birds.
I haven't heard anything from anyone, but they're absolutely shoot me an email, give me a phone call. I would be happy to talk about it for next season for sure. And even if it's not associated with the rotating arts program, I mean, there's a lot of land and space out there where we could put something permanent potentially.
Would you ever consider like our pad being a permanent one if we found something that we really like to put there?
I don't think so. They were put in with the intention of it being for the rotating program to continuously bring new art to the community and create opportunities for artists to show their work.
Is there opportunities for, like, say, the association to purchase it for themselves and then place it in an area near them that they prefer?
Absolutely. Artists aren't required to have their pieces for sale to be in the program, but if they are for sale, we share that information and it's available for anyone to purchase.
Unfortunately, our neighborhood doesn't have a lot of money, so we would have loved to have purchased the palm tree, and we're very sad that it's not there.
Well, I know the guy, and I can get you in contact with him when you eventually do have funds, and I'm sure he could make you. I mean, he can make pretty much anything and everything. We just
and I was hoping he was going to submit another piece because we really like his piece. I got a question. Do you do the one that's, it's not a park name per se, but it's behind the bus depot. It's on Harvey and Webster.
Yep, we just had that unveiling on Monday.
That is really neat. We were hoping to get something kind of like that.
He's on the list. He was notified of the opportunity. And when I spoke with him on Monday, he's been very busy with a lot of other commissions, which is a good thing. Not so great for our program, I guess, but fantastic to hear that artists are flush with work right now. Do we want to select the pieces first and then open it up, or open the floor up to placement, or open the floor up now for comments and input on the pieces themselves and the placement?
So, Laura, let me understand. Out of these, we're going to select how many? What's the intention here?
We need to select 6 pieces,
Okay.
and then we need to place those 6 pieces.
I have a question for the people who ranked and scored them, because this is the first time I've seen them, and I'm so excited that we've gotten all these pieces, because I think for a while we weren't getting any I'm like, oh Lord, what are we going to do if we don't have any pieces? So I'm like so excited. We have all these pieces.
There was a lot of last minute submissions.
Last minute stuff, which is great. But was there a reason why the glass, the G's, like didn't rank very high? Was it because of are they made of glass? And that was an issue maybe for the installation and the safety with regards to the placements, or?
So they're made out of plexiglass, actually.
Okay.
And I can look back through the scores that I had received.
I mean, it's not a big deal. I was just curious because there were like 4 submissions, but they ranked lower on the other ones. So I didn't know if there was something about the construction of them or the fact that they're pencil drawings, so they're not as visual.
I think that's
the other ones are
most likely the case. It's initially not as visually engaging.
Okay.
But as far as materials wise and construction, in the durability and safety of the piece. And I think from the example photos that were included with this artist's materials, it's to emulate stained glass. And I think it could be quite interesting.
I could, as somebody who voted, Cheryl, I could tell you how this struck me. Of course, you know I'm the non-artist in the group, but there were, as Laura said, there were examples, but they didn't seem to me to be examples by the artist. They were just examples of how these stained glass, and you know, I just didn't have the comfort level with it that I did with the others.
Yep.
This might be an opportunity to let future artists know that presentation is everything, you know, and if we can help them so that they have a better opportunity to have their art really seen well, that the presentation is crucial because that's how we're judging.
Yep.
I definitely agree. But I think also considering what we were discussing about hoping that this can be a program where like Girl Scout troops and Boy Scout troops can come and submit things. I mean, I would expect their applications to be very similar to something like this. And from the previous work that they had presented, yes, it's not typical art pieces, but I mean, they have clearly a lot of craftsmanship in what they do. So that gives me confidence that even though this isn't something they normally tackle, they appear that they can do a variety of things. So I would have confidence that they could pull this off as well.
I concur with that.
Do we want to, is this an opportunity to hear from the artist, or do we want, can we do that, or do we want to do that? That are here now? Or is anybody joining any of these artists?
I think it makes sense we might need to open the floor. And Cheryl, correct me if this seems wrong, but I would say we should open the floor to discuss the pieces themselves. That way the artists can share their portions or thoughts on the pieces, close the floor, make the selections, and neighborhood associations too can comment on the pieces at that time. We'll close the floor, take that input in conjunction to the scores that were awarded, and then select the pieces, select those 6, and then from there we can open the floor again to discuss placement. Does that make sense? Okay, beautiful.
I will move to open the floor.
I second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? All right, let's open up the floor. Are any of the artists, let's see here. Would any of the, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I should also mention that artists weren't required to attend this meeting, but since it's a public meeting, they're more than welcome to join us. So if anyone does want to speak on their piece or has any thoughts or comments that they think the commissioners should know, let us know.
Just unmute yourselves and start speaking. Maybe say who you are and.
We need name and address, correct?
Yes.
Good morning. Ken Rovinsky with Maker Solutions LLC, 520 Hubbard Street, Green Bay, Wisconsin. I just first and foremost just want to thank all of you guys for putting this program together. This being a resident of Green Bay, lifelong resident, it's just awesome to see art taking off here. So great work. Yeah, as far as my art pieces go, when I saw this opportunity, I thought it would be just something fun to kind of step outside my comfort level. And I know that the materials that I'm working with here are materials I've worked with on other projects, as you saw in my examples. I apologize about the drawings there. I totally agree. Coming from an architecture background, I think in blueprints, and that's what I put down. So knowing that in the future, you'll definitely see some more colorful and maybe some 3D renderings in future applications. So all in all, I mean, I don't think there's a bad option here. Living within a few blocks of two of these art pads, I would be excited to see any of these. So really, kudos to you guys for putting together such a great program and really bringing out some talented artists here. So I don't think you have a bad option out of any of these. So just look forward to seeing what you choose.
Thank you, Kenneth. It's always nice because we don't get to hear it from the artists themselves often. So this is great. Thank you for sharing that. Any other artists out there that would like to share?
Hi, I'm Lilia. I'm an artist who submitted a piece. Should I state my name and address for the record, or is that necessary?
Yes, please.
Okay, my name is Lilia Byron, 926 South Midvale Boulevard, Madison, Wisconsin. Is it okay if I reveal which piece is mine?
Yes.
Okay, yes. So my piece is the Quilt project, which is made out of painted scrap wood. I had this idea for the scrap wood quilt, thinking about Midwestern, the tradition of making quilts in the Midwest and barn quilts, and how that creates this idea of bringing many pieces together to form this larger part, and how if any one of those missing pieces is not there, then the whole sort of structure will be visually unbalanced. And thinking about that in terms of resilience, people coming together to form for a greater purpose, and also in terms of how we are all connected as people, and how as people we're connected to the environment, and how we all play this individual role of importance, but also this role of importance in coming together.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Lilia. Any other artists or any comments for Lilia?
Good morning. My name is Reynaldo Alanis, and I'm in Austin, Texas. And I submitted B1 Untitled, and it's sort of an abstract, not sort of, like it is an abstract rendering. And I would rather hear comments in terms of how it responded, I guess, rather than, I don't know what else I could say. I mean, this is just something I concocted. I do a great deal of work, I guess you might say, in stone. And so I'm entering the metal sculpture area, I guess. So, if you have, I appreciate, even though it's number 6, I appreciate the possibility, I guess, before you all finally vote, to make this and perhaps deliver it up there, if it's elected. Questions of me, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Thank you, Reynaldo. I bet you it's a little bit warmer where you're at right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's in the 70s, 72. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
In your application, it was listed that this is a maquette. It's about 30 inches, I think, or around there.
And 45 probably going to be.
45.
Yeah.
You had also mentioned that you could scale this up to like 6 feet potentially. Is that still an option?
Yeah. So like today I was supposed to receive. So what I did, this is a cooperative effort on part of my grandson. He's very good with the computer and with 3D programming and 3D printing. So I designed it and I gave it to him, and he made this little maquette, which is about 3 inches tall. I have one that I cut out with a plasma cutter out of bronze, which is about 2 feet tall. I didn't submit that. It's sort of bronze is a nice medium. It's expensive, and it will take a patina and that sort of thing. But I just thought to make this in a smaller version. So today, and I sent the plans. They're called their DWF plans to a guy that cuts it with a laser. So it's a very exact cut that they make. I don't know if you all are familiar with that process, but so we scaled it up to I think 45 inches tall, and we can go back into the computer and bump it up some. It's the laser process is somewhat of an expensive thing, so they promised the pieces to me yesterday and they didn't deliver. So I have to see about today, maybe getting them, and then I will weld it together and shape it together. But it is a plan that it's in a computer, and that these people, I checked with them, they said they could scale it up. And of course, that's going to cost money, more money. The higher I go, the bigger I go. So I'm open to perhaps going up a little bigger, a little taller, like 6 feet, perhaps. I don't know how much more it'll cost me, but it is possible. So I have to consider number one, that I'm in Texas, and making this thing bigger. It's more likely it's a wind issue, on a trailer. It's like it's going to catch and fly away with my trailer and my truck if I'm going 70 miles an hour. So I guess I could put tarp over it or whatever, So, but it might be something that perhaps if the community likes it, I could include the cost of a larger model, and if it's not really what they like or would like to see in a bigger shape. So this could be considered a little bigger maquette if they were interested in a larger version of it. Perhaps I could detail the expenses involved with that, and in making it and that sort of thing. It shouldn't be hugely expensive. It's just that the distance from here to Green Bay is, I guess, probably a 2-day drive. I'm not sure, So, and at any rate, I can certainly entertain that idea, and it is, I think, a strong, in my view. Of course, it's my work. It is a strong piece, but I'll leave it up to you.
Thank you, Ronaldo.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. That's still really, we definitely don't want to impose any further barriers or things like that as far as expanding it even more. I mean, as it sounds like it's going to be almost 4 feet high at its finished.
Yeah, we
size,
could,
which is still really a decent size.
So
piece.
I figured if we put it on a base, maybe that's about some sort of like a foot tall, it'll bump it up another foot, and it'll be, it'll make it look like it's bigger. That's one way to sort of just amplify the volume,
Yeah.
But I guess if y'all give me the go ahead, like I said, I'm hoping today to get my material and just make it regardless of whatever happens in Green Bay, because I personally like it.
It's a very nice piece.
Thank you.
You had also listed too that you could change the color of the piece too, since it's painted.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference for what is it going to be red in the finished form, or do you have a different color that you're leaning towards?
I think it stands out very strongly as a red piece, so I sort of favor that, but I guess I would be amenable if somebody didn't like that. We'll take it, but we want it in whatever, green or something. It's in the fabrication stages, so.
Hi, this is Lily. I'm with the Tank Park Neighborhood Association. I have to leave in 5 minutes. Would it be okay if I gave a couple comments before I go?
Yes, please do.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you so much to all the artists who submitted these amazing pieces. I'm the type of person that has very little artistic ability. So when I see things like these, it's just amazing. And we would be absolutely honored and glad to have any of these pieces in our neighborhood. Absolutely. I did want to give some feedback that I heard from my board members. We have a metal structure kind of abstract piece in our neighborhood right now on the corner of 12th and West Mason. So we thought it might be nice to change it up and have something more colorful if that was the opportunity. So our first choice would be C1, the quilt. Thank you to the artist. I think she spoke before, and to hear the thought behind that piece it just makes it all that nicer. And then our second choice would be Tippy. Right now on that corner where it's placed, it's actually where I live, and we have a big white fence kind of surrounding that area. So I think those two colorful pieces would absolutely make it stand out. So those would be our top two choices for Tank Park, C1 and E1. But again, any of these would, I think would look great, and they're all amazing. So thank you again to all the artists.
Thank you, Lily.
This is Kathy. Yeah, I'm surprised. Our president for the neighborhood association, she did put a meeting, and no one's here. I'm surprised because I thought maybe somebody would, talk about it. Yeah, I'm just going to say for the neighborhood association, well, kind of, because she didn't tell me to go ahead and make for the neighborhood association, but I think we would like number 2. It looks the most realistic to a bird. And that's kind of what we're looking into, something that looks more, to what our neighborhood is. And I really like that. That one is pretty unique, as close as we can get to looking like a bird. Yeah, and the stained glass, I think that's an interesting idea. But yeah, I think too, you'd have to be careful. It looks really nice, but I think you have to be careful where you put it in, because the reflection or whatever might, cause some problems, especially in our area with the birds flying in and out. And a lot of geese, are over in that area where the pad is. So we need something maybe a little more substantial for that area. And the quilt is an interesting idea, but I think everybody would pretty much lean to number 2, the Frettel, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. I would say number 4, if that's open, you might have the birds crawling in it, the animals. So yeah, sometimes you have to look at where you're, putting these items for the area, what's involved. We got a lot of animals. We got deer, we got all kinds of things roaming around here. So that's another thing to look at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Casey Hack here with Western Corridor. I'm the president of the association over close to the pad. I think it's at 12th and Shawano. I'm really excited to see all of this art. My background is actually in fine art. I have a bachelor's in fine art. So any investment that the city makes in art is amazing to me and very exciting. So I'm happy to see all of these different pieces and such great variety. As far as my own opinion on the pieces that I would select, that I'm a big fan of, I really like numbers 3, 7, 4. So that's Quilt, Tippy, Basics. And then I like the Through the Glass series, especially numbers 8 and 11. And I would just say not to discount those. I know that they are sketches. I know they are blueprint style, but they've got a lot of potential, and the compositions are so interesting. I'm really excited to see things that look super different in the neighborhood, especially after right now we've got one of the like pyramids, the painted pyramids. So seeing something super 3D with a lot of shape and negative space would be really exciting for us. We'd be more than happy with any of those pieces. I know a lot of people have mentioned color, and that's going to be exciting regardless of the position. And I'll be really excited to see any of these in that area.
Thank you, Casey.
Hi, I'm Tanya Westmoreland, Vice President of Seymour Park Neighborhood, 317 South Oakland Avenue, Green Bay. I was speaking with our President Mariah, and we both thought C1 number 3 would be ideal for our neighborhood, considering the diversity in all aspects, and this is what we're trying to do. It's colorful, it's different, it shows a togetherness. And she said to me, she likes it us all have different backgrounds, but together we are a strong neighborhood. And that looks like us perfect.
Thank you.
Alex, may I ask a question of one of the artists?
Yes, please do.
Mr. Rovinsky, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
So I'm very interested in knowing more, because I'm inclined to say that we have a local artist here who's lived in Green Bay all his life, and you submitted 4 possibilities to us. And I want to see if we might have a chance to include one of those in our top 6 after all. And I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about, your experience in making stained glass, and just because we didn't see samples of your own work finished, that was the problem for me. So can you help me out, please, with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for the question. So as far as stained glass goes, I don't have any actual experience in it. I do have, I am very passionate about historic properties. And one of the, the main things you see when you come into that, like the eye-popping, catching thing of a historic property is usually that big transom stained glass window. So just having a history in that, it is what to me felt like it connected with our downtown neighborhoods. When you see that historic property with the stained glass, you're like, that needs to be saved no matter what. So that was a conversation that I have every time we go into a historic property. So that's where the inspiration came from. Now I say I don't have experience with stained glass, but I have worked with acrylics before, which is what this would be. It's not glass, it's a polycarbonate. So it's weatherproof, shatterproof. And then also I did forget to mention, I'm incorporating solar lights inside the art piece on this. So there would be a glow, in the evening time, which, as you know, with there would be like the solar lights that you see in your yard. As the night goes on, they kind of fade out as that solar power diminishes. So it would be more of like a glow rather than like a bright in your face kind of light. So really it was inspired from what I know about historic properties, and then just kind of creating that tie to the neighborhood. So.
I'd like to ask a follow-up question. Thank you for that. Tell me you obviously knew how to do these drawings, but tell me something in your background that gives me confidence that you can do this, that you can make this.
Sure, absolutely. So the material used for the main structure of this is 6x6 timber. And my business, we do many pergolas where we're using 6x6 material and 2x4 material to create backyard pergolas. And I have quite a bit of experience in that in my own yard and in a number of other clients' yards. So the materials and the way that the wood would be fastened together is almost identical to how I would do it for a pergola.
Thank you.
Can I ask Kenneth a question? So what size were you looking at?
So each of these they vary from about 8 feet to 9 feet tall.
Okay. I found it very interesting. I like stained glass. I thought that would be really unique. But the reason I didn't pick that as for our neighborhood is because we do have the birds flying around. And I was just afraid something like that might be distractive to them. So that's why. But I do like, I liked your concepts, and I love stained glass. I think it would look very neat in maybe some of the other areas.
Thank you.
Getting to learn a bit more about the materials, I'm real sold on these guys. Like, I don't want to go hard for a particular piece of art, but I think that would be really a strong choice. And like I said, 8 and 11 draw me in a little bit more as far as the structure shape. And I agree with what he was saying. It gives a lovely story for any of the downtown neighborhoods or downtown adjacent like ours.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Any other shout-outs or comments? Laura, do I need to close the floor before we go forward? Okay.
Yes.
Move to close the floor.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? All right, so move. Thank you, artists, for sharing your background. Thank you. Okay, Laura?
Okay, so hearing the discussions and the input provided, I think it's agreed upon that we want to have one of the through the glass pieces involved, even though it didn't initially score as high. Hearing from the artist and learning more about the background of the piece and his skills himself, and just highlighting that local talent, I think, is important. Are we open to including that in the top 6?
I think so. After listening to the artists, no one really talked about QB cactus. I think that's one that can rotate out. So as I see it right now, how the images are placed on your slide here, it would be the top 4, or the first 4, I should say, in the top row, and then the first 2 in the second row. And I do like the 8 for the through the glass, kind of the inverted pyramid. I think with the addition of that lighting at night, I'm assuming that the light is going to be placed in the bottom, in the middle of that pyramid. And I think it'll have a really nice kind of gradient glow up the sides of that piece. So I would, if we're going to pick one, I would pick that one and move QB cactus out of the top 6.
I would absolutely agree with that. That's great.
Through the glass number 1, I did find that one very striking also. I did have a concern on number 4 with basics number 53 with the size of it. I understand that we do make exceptions for things that are larger than the pad. So that was one of my concerns, was because it wasn't mentioned if this would be anchored to the pad, but I don't know if it said 10 by 5 by, I forgot what depth it was, but it seemed like it'd be going beyond the pad size. So I didn't know if that's going to be a big concern that we will have if we've done something like that where it's bigger than the pad, because I would believe it's got to be 10 feet wide and not 10 feet tall.
Correct. I think the 10 is actually those corners on the outside of the piece, but the actual footprint of the piece is roughly 5, which should still fit within our pedestal. It's a 6-foot diameter footing.
I believe, and then most of our pads are far enough away where even though it sticks out 2.5 to 3 feet beyond it, it's not going to be obstructing any pedestrian traffic on sidewalks or whatnot. I believe
Correct.
these pads are far enough back onto the properties.
I would say majority of them are. I would not place this one at Liked Park, just because that one is immediately off of the sidewalk. But the Dousman and Fisk site would be a really nice one, just because there's a lot of space. Over on East Shore Drive or East Shore and Irwin, that one has a lot of space near it. But as we heard from Alder LaFave, it might be a little too inviting for some of the local wildlife over there. But I think there are a number of spaces that we could place this, that it would have enough room if it was selected.
Okay. And then, did anybody else see if this was going to be mounted onto the pad? I'm just thinking of, in the case where kids can be climbing on it and all of a sudden it rotates over and someone gets hurt. I'm pretty sure it's fairly heavy, so that shouldn't happen. And I haven't heard of kids playing around all these artistic pieces, so I don't think that should be an issue.
Isn't that Laura? Isn't that a requirement that these pieces be mounted to the pads?
Yes. I
think they have to be mounted to those pads to secure them.
I do know.
Okay,
also
I just
that
didn't notice.
The artist is with us. If you wanted to ask him specific questions about the piece, but
okay, I just
yes,
didn't see it in the. I didn't see it in the description where how it would be mounted to the pad. So that's one of the concerns I had when I was looking at this. I know that it's fairly big, and the examples that were showed them to be on like grass where it's freestanding. Unless if it was anchored, like earth anchored. But, I haven't seen those pieces. I just saw the pictures. So I was just curious as to how that would occur. I'm pretty sure these pieces being made out of wood would be really heavy and should not be tipping over. But without it being anchored, I could never say, you provide enough weight on one corner and it ends up just tipping enough. But I'm unsure of that. So I just didn't know if maybe someone else caught it that I didn't.
Do we want to open the floor?
If the artist wants to speak, we'd have to open up the floor again. All those in favor of opening the floor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right. If the artist is there and making sure. We're not hearing you if you're speaking. We're still not hearing you for some reason.
If you're using the phone like I am, you had to hit *67, I believe, to unlock it. That's what I had to do to unmute myself.
No, I can see your mouth, but I don't hear any audio.
It's possible his headphones are only for listening and not for speaking.
Let me just.
There, I think we hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Okay. So that's weird because I've used those headphones before we Zoom, but it seems if I take them out. So that question it's a series of works that I've been working on for the last 5 years, and the question that was just being asked comes up frequently. So how is it in regards to anchoring it? And most of the pieces that I've done, because they are quite stable and quite heavy, most of the pieces that I've done in that series are not anchored. And very often the commissioning bodies kind of ask the question. Sometimes the insurance demands it, and it's a very easy thing to anchor it because it's wood, right? You just put a If you have a base, you just put an anchor into the concrete base, epoxy it in, and attach that to the piece. It's a very simple thing to do. So it can be anchored. It doesn't need to be, in terms of stability, security, weight. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Cheryl, just for protocol, did he have to give us name and address or anything like that? I just want to make sure.
I think that's what we're doing is we're just having, if you could just give us your name and address quickly.
My name, Matthias Neumann. Address is 666 Flushing Avenue in Brooklyn, New York, 11206.
Thank you very much.
It's for the minutes for the meeting. We keep track of those things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question for the artist. So you are assuring us that it doesn't need to be mounted, and in terms of weight and stability, it'll be fine. But I don't know anything about these things. On what do you base that judgment?
Both on, I mean, I am professionally an architect, so I deal with stability all the time. So I base the judgment on experience, on knowing these pieces, kind of how heavy they are just through making about 50 of those, and the geometry of like how stable they are. But as I said, in some cases, because sometimes the forms change, some of them are more stable than others. So I had to anchor some of them. And as I said, and some commissioning bodies just do require it for insurance purposes. Like no matter how stable it is, it just has to be anchored to the pad. And that's very easy to do. So it can be anchored. I have no problem with anchoring it. I personally think it does not need to be anchored, just from its stability and heaviness. So it's not going to be accidentally tipping over, and it's not going to be moving. Like if you're really willful, meaning if you have like 3 strong people that really want to move that piece, you can do it. If it's not anchored, that's true. But it has to be willful. Like it's not going to accidentally move.
Thank you.
Any more questions for the artist? Move to close the floor then.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay, so move. Chuck, thank you for bringing up that safety has always been a protocol for all of our pieces, so this was a robust conversation. Thank you. Laura?
So going over after the discussions and everything, as it stands, we're talking about removing cubic cactus and replacing it with through the glass. So having these top 4, Fettle, Scalar, Untitled, Quilt, and then Basics and through the glass. Does this sound agreeable? And second question, are we still interested in awarding an artist 2 opportunities rather than, like, would we be interested in removing in place of cubic cactus, just to spread out that love?
I thought Scalar was what Alder Fave was talking about. That looks like a bird.
No, it's the other one, number 2 that you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because to me, Scalar looked like a stork.
Sorry, it's the eye of the beholder, right? How you do it.
So
I did want to.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
I did want to note that I noticed that a couple of people did mention they would prefer to see Tippy, and I did want to just note that I really, as an engineer, when I looked at that, I was like, hey, that's really interesting. I really like this piece. But I have kids, and I know that they'd be around it, touching it, playing with it. And with the swinging pieces, I figured they're going to have their hands stuck in it. And, it potentially could be a pinch point for kids. And I remember, like going on the park playground where you have that, where you ride on one side and the other person rides on the other on those little sawhorses. And I can just imagine kids just, hey, stand on this side and pulling on it. So it's a great, I really did like that piece, but I just, safety wise, I have kids and I know how crazy they get. So go ahead.
So the question posed by Laura was, do we give another artist an opportunity by removing one or two? I think that's what you were saying, Laura.
Correct.
Can we have a discussion on that or an opinion?
Cuba Cactus still ranked, I mean, from the initial scores, Cuba Cactus was in the top 6. So I think there's definitely still value in including that one.
I would agree, Laura. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump in. I when I saw that the two from the same artist, again, I do agree with Supervisor LaFay that I think A1 Fettle is a pretty strong piece, but I also think that we shouldn't exclude Cuba Cactus. So I'd be in favor of not necessarily seeing A2 in the mix.
So would this be something that we would have to vote on as a group, or?
If you guys are agreeable to removing Scalar, we would have Fettle, Untitled, Quilt, Cuba Cactus, Basics 53, and then Through the Glass number 1 as our 6.
I am proposed to make a motion to that effect. If you're ready for it.
Yes.
I move that we accept the 6 works of art that Laura has just mentioned.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? All right. So moved. So, Laura, what's next? Do we place them in order, or are those?
Yep, so we got one thing out of the way. Now we have to actually cite them. And I was trying to take notes while neighborhoods were providing input. And like I said, again, we can open the floor up to neighborhoods again as far as placement choices. But the notes that I took, is it okay if I move to the map screen now? Do we kind of have these images in our brain? Okay. Here we go. So here are the locations. Are you guys seeing them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Beautiful. From the notes that I was taking and trying to make sure that we get everyone's choices, at least as best as we can, based on the pieces that were selected. Fettle, I would recommend be placed at East Shore, number 6. Quilt to be placed at Seymour Park Neighborhood Association, which is number 4. Basics, number 53, to be placed at Tank Park, which is number 2. Through the Glass, number 1, to be placed at Western Corridor, which is number 3. Cuba Cactus, I think, should be placed at Liked Park, just because it is so close to the road, and it's definitely a stable piece. It doesn't take up a whole lot of room, so it should be fairly safe over there. And then Untitled can be placed at Perkins Park.
Laura, which one was the tank placement again?
I had Basics number 53, but that's the one. So Tank
What is
Park
that
had,
one?
Basics
Tell me
number
what that, sorry, I don't
53
remember.
is the wooden structure, kind kind of like a diamond almost.
But I think wasn't Tank looking for color?
Tank was looking for color. So if that's the case, I would recommend switching through the glass number 1 at Tank Park, and then have basics number 53 at Western Corridor. Since Western Corridor, I mean, they listed several for their top choices, but they seemed agreeable to having anything at that site.
Western Corridor, you're suggesting basics number 53?
Yes.
Which is the wood, which is a wood one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tank Park would be through the glass number 1, and then Western Corridor would be basics 53.
Is there, what was suggested for wrap site number 4, Oakland and Walnut?
Oakland and Walnut Seymour Park.
Was Quilt, right?
Yeah, because I was just looking at the size of basics number 53 and locating it for size and just the area around it. I think wrap site number 4 with Seymour Park might have more availability. You know, it's further away from path of travel way.
I could see that. So having basics 53 at Seymour Park, Quilt at Western Corridor, and then through the glass at Tank Park.
Do we need to do a motion for this?
Can I just weigh in on that? Just from listening to everything, I think Seymour Park had one request quilt based on, you know, the symbolism of that art piece. It seemed pretty important at Seymour Park. But I think your concern, Chuck, was the width of basics 53, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could fit probably over at Perkin, considering that it's kind of off to the side also. I'm just trying to look at Google Maps to kind of see, you know, space availability, and that it is a little further away from the walking path, and there's a lot of green space around it, so it'll actually, you know, like bring attention because of the size of it. You know, like the other piece that's currently there, I live in that area and I barely ever notice it.
Yeah, so that way, I like that idea of that larger piece being at Perkins. I really think at the Quilt is, I mean, there are a number of us, like Tank and Seymour both wanted that piece as well, but I think the Quilt might work better at Seymour just because of the concept of it and, you know, the revitalization of the neighborhood and those types of things that are happening at Seymour. But
so, Laura, can you?
I'm going to list them off and let me know how this sounds.
Okay.
Fettle is going to be at East Shore, Quilt at Seymour Park, Basics 53 at Perkins Park, Cuba Cactus at Liked Park, Untitled at Tank Park, and Through the Glass at Western Corridor. Does that seem...
Corridor. Okay, so I'm sorry, I'm just being very bad. Yeah, I'm sure the committee's like, done with you, Cheryl, but the corner of 12th and Mason is very flat, right, and very visible. So I'm wondering if the stained glass one might fit better there visually than Western Corridor, where I see there's foliage in the tree and some other things, where the Untitled might, you know, stand out more there. Any thoughts on that?
I'm in agreement with that move. So having Through the Glass at Tank Park, and Untitled at Western Corridor.
Can I mention, yeah, at Western Corridor, I'm not sure, I know glass would be a lot more reflective, but I'm not sure with the acrylics, and it's close to where you got a traffic and you got a traffic light and everything. I don't know if that would be distractive. So yeah, I don't think it would be a good place to put it right there. So yeah, where you mentioned, I think where it's more open would be better.
Is this something that we would have to vote on or agree on? I'm open to somebody give a motion, please.
Do we want to open the floor first to the neighborhoods to hear from them one last time on locations?
Move to open the floor.
Somebody second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right, floor is open. Anybody from the neighborhood association want to speak out?
That wouldn't be my top choice at Western Corridor, personally, the Untitled piece. I definitely liked Laura's idea of the through the glass piece better, or the basics or the quilt were also suggested for that space, and I just think they would be more appropriate than the Untitled piece in that space.
Thank you. Any other comments?
So it would be easy enough to swap out then the basics piece from Perkins and put that at Western Corridor then, right? Would that be okay, Casey, or?
Yeah, that would be fine by me.
So if you put that piece there, would that fit there for width? It's set far enough back, I think, so. It looks like it would work there.
I think it would work there. Okay, so I'll list them off again. Fettle at East Shore, Quilt at Seymour, Cuba Cactus at Light Park, Basics at Western Corridor, Through the Glass at Tank, and Untitled at Perkins. Any other comments from the public? If not, we can close the floor and then make a vote.
Move to close the floor.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right. Thank you for sharing. So Laura, now what's next? Do we vote on this now?
Yep, we need a vote on the placement, and I can list it off again. Proposing placement of the following rotating art pieces at the following locations: Shore, Quilt at Seymour, Cuba Cactus at Lake Park, Basics for Western Corridor, Through the Glass #1 at Tank, and Untitled at Perkins Park.
May I ask a question, please, before we have, I can't remember now what Basics is.
Basics is...
Just tell me, you don't have to show me, it's okay.
Okay. Basics is the wooden piece, kind of resembling a diamond.
Okay. So I thought someone had pointed out that this space just isn't large enough for that, and it's so close to the sidewalk at Western Corridor. You folks aren't concerned about that?
As I was looking at it again, it depends on the rotation of where it's at. It does look like it's going to be about the sidewalk itself. It shouldn't be encroaching on the sidewalk, and depending on how it's rotated, it may not even have any effect at all.
Okay.
I just went on Google Maps and looked at it from different angles, just to try to see how far back it is.
So can I get a motion?
I move that we place the 6 art pieces as Laura has described.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Thank you. Laura, are we agenda? Okay.
On to the second item.
What was that?
We're on to our second item now.
Okay, the second item is, where am I here? Consideration to approve the proposed designs being considered for the Napoli's Lounge mural. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Laura?
Yeah, so at the April 13th RDA meeting, they approved a facade grant to, I'm blanking on his name right now. They approved a facade grant for a mural and lighting and a few other enhancement at the Napoli's Lounge and Grill. One of the contingencies on that, though, is the Arts Commission needs to approve of the mural designs. So I've shared with you in the agenda the 4 mural designs that they are reviewing. They're currently at the Napoli's Lounge, open for public comment and voting and things. So I can share those images with you guys if you would like. But really, we are going to be looking at these, if there's any comments that we have for the Napoli's Lounge Mural Selection Committee that you want to share with them, we can share that. But really, we are looking to approve the proposals that they have. Do you guys want me to share them?
Yes.
Okay. Are you guys seeing the mural concepts?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, these are the 4 concepts that were in the packet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Did you guys have any initial thoughts or ideas on them at all?
So are they just looking for our recommendation or recommendations?
I would say recommendations, because it is going to be going to Napoli's Lounge's Mural Selection Committee. So I'm seeing this as a blanket approval of all of them, unless there's one that is particularly you just definitely don't want. But I would recommend approving all of them as good for the Napoli's Lounge Mural Selection Committee to make the final decision.
Yeah, I would say out of these 2, I think concept 2 and concept 4 are the strongest.
But we're not actually voting on these, right? We're just approving all 4 for them to actually decide on?
Correct.
The funding came through the Redevelopment Authority, and the Redevelopment Authority looks to the PAC to kind of vet designs out or whatnot. So if there was something, for example, that you thought was inappropriate or, shouldn't be funded, with taxpayer dollars or something to that effect, they'd want to comment from you on that. But so you're kind of like the stopping point for the RDA. They're coming to the expertise here, in other words, for these designs. So,
and we do have members from the public also present who might wish to speak on this as well, if we'd like to open the floor eventually.
I'm not on the commission, but I just wanted to make a comment that number 3, I think, is really eye-catching. It's really interesting. And number 4 is a neat concept, too. I mean, they're all great, but yeah, I just wanted to make that comment.
Should we move to open the floor?
Move to open the floor.
Okay. We get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay. If there's any representative for this art that would like to share, please do. Give us your name and address.
My name is Justice Tenpenny, and I'm at 730 Abrams Street. I just wanted to let you guys know that if you had any specific questions about the selection process, some of the art, or the mural in general, I'm able to answer those. I'm both on the selection committee with Napoli's and also on the kind of mural committee as well that's been working on this project since October. So any questions, concerns, anything like that, you can just let me know, and I would be happy to answer anything.
I have a question.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I have a question. So have you guys selected the artists themselves, or is that down the line? I'm just curious.
So these are our 4 finalists, and we're actually going to be all meeting on May 4th. That's our next selection committee meeting. So by then we'll have about 3 weeks of letting the public kind of percolate on these and submit their comments. In the first week, we had over 200 responses from people in the community. So a lot of excitement around a lot of it, but we were also waiting to hear about the facade grant from the RDA, and then this meeting as well, because we don't want to be like, we're going to do this, and then this meeting happen afterwards, and there be concerns or questions about a specific piece of art.
So can we answer the RDA question here, or where are we at with that?
So the RDA did approve the facade grant for us. Yep. Okay. So now this is the next part before we go ahead and approve or talk about what we want to select as a committee.
So the PAC can either make a motion to approve them all, or if you wanted to go as far as to pick one that you like the most, you could do that as well. It's up to really the PAC and how you want to work that.
I like the thought of us approving it all and then passing it forward to their committee so that they can further have discussions on that.
Agreed. I think the committee that they have, I'm confident that they will make a beautiful choice. I mean, it's hard to not make a good choice out of these options.
So should we close the floor and
yes.
move to close the floor?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right. So now we need to do a motion on approving all 4, correct?
I move that we approve all 4 for consideration.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those against? So moved. Thank you very much for this. Is any other questions regarding this? So we can just move forward. Thank you. Regular business. No, I'm sorry. Informational here. So GBPAC financial report.
Mouse is not cooperating with me. Yes, I just got to get the screen up here to share the financial report with you guys. All right. So here is our financial report. For 4/20/2021. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about the rotating art pieces, but part of that decision to fully fund the program. So we have $3,000 remaining in our rotating art grants, which will go towards that program, and we will also be out $6,000 from the Friends money to cover the remaining portion of those artist payments. So we're covered for that program. I apologize for forgetting to mention that when we were talking about the rotating art program. I was just very excited about selecting pieces. So majority of the funds have not changed overall from our last meeting. From our Friends account, just with having that at the Community Foundation, they take a monthly portion out for managing our funds. So that is the $91.89 in expenses from the Friends account. In the grants segment, that $1,066, that is our insurance payment for the rotating arts program. So we are paid up on insurance for that program until next year. And then block grant funds, that is my payment to keep me working and helping you guys out. Do you have any questions on the, and then as far as block grant funding, we have that $25,000 that needs to be spent by November. I've just heard back from Parks Department last week. We finally have our projects selected out, so I'm going to be working with staff in my department and Parks Department and Public Works on developing those calls and getting those out so we can get that money out the door and get more art happening within that timeline. And then mentioned last time, we got the $10,000 grant from the National Endowments for the Arts for that Shipyard Underpass placemaking project. I'm working with Matt Buchanan. We have some historic preservation forms that we need to file with the state just to make sure that we're following all the rules and regulations for those funds. Do you guys have any questions on the financial report or anything that you'd like further clarification on or anything?
Is that $25,000 the unallocated funds from the CDBG funding budget?
Correct.
That's that's what we had discussed in the previous meeting about use it or lose it, right?
Yep.
But it can only be used for like brick and mortar materials.
It has to be used for, because of the restrictions that we have on public service dollars and how that's all divvied out. We have to use these funds mostly for a physical piece.
Okay, and then you're working with Parks on using it for one of the projects that Parks has?
Yep, so coordinating my neighborhood team, we've all agreed on putting funds towards park shelter murals, and then also working with DPW on the creation of storm drain artwork. So those are still being developed, but that's the plan as of right now.
Okay. So once those are developed, once the plans are in place, we'll hear more about it. It sounds very interesting.
Yep, definitely. And I am excited, but it is working on the nitty gritty of how it's all going to work out and how many we can do and where they'll be sited and all of that stuff. But I think they're very good projects, and it aligns with the input that we received from you guys on how to spend those funds. And also taking into account that community input we had received previously. Any other questions on the financial report? Beautiful. I will stop sharing. And we can continue on.
So the next is our coordinator's report and project updates.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard enough from me already today, current projects that are happening, the Salva Jelly Bloom sculpture installation that's going to be taking place on Adam Street. Brandon he just finished the second coat of paint on the entire piece. So the fabrication portion is basically complete on that jellyfish sculpture. He's now just working on programming of the lighting portion, which is a little bit over my head as far as how that all works, but he's working on finalizing the lighting and wiring of that piece. Most likely going to be wrapping everything up middle of May. And then for me to get on board with parking and make sure that we have the space cleared so that they can have a nice open and safe installation time. It'll take me about a week to get everything lined up that way. So we're looking most likely at an installation of that piece towards the end of May with a celebration to follow shortly after that. The Art and Pollinator celebration that happened on Monday, that was for Dave Windy's dandelion sculpture. Thank you for those who were able to come out and join us. And if not, there's a video, I believe, on the Economic Development Facebook page. The mayor shared out some stuff. And if you haven't seen it yet in person, definitely head out there and check it out because it is amazing to look at.
Is that the one I thought was a thistle?
Most likely. The location that you had listed before.
It looks like, yeah.
Metro.
Okay. Yeah, it's very, very unique.
Yeah, he is very talented. In addition to that, I'm also going to be sharing with you guys, at our previous meeting, there was a request to develop a art ideas menu. So we kind of know what's going on. I'm going to be making that, it'll be an internal document for us to work on, but I will be sharing that with you guys. I'm thinking every month just to check in, and if there are projects that you know of that are going on that should be on my radar, let me know. I was going to put it on the agenda and make it a monthly regular item, but then I decided against it just because like I say, the beauty of public art is anyone can make it happen, and not everyone is necessarily ready to share those publicly just yet. So that will be an internal working document. Most likely it's an Excel spreadsheet. So I'll be sharing an Excel document with you guys. And I can provide more instructions on if you want to add to it or other things like that. And then for our current open calls that we have, we just extended the timelines for our 2 voter sticker calls. We received only about 2 submissions, which was very odd since the first time around, we actually received quite a number of them. So we extended those calls till May 24th. And I gotta develop a Facebook post for that as well. But if you'd like more information to share with other people, send me an email and I can give you all the details on that because it's really an exciting project. It's an artist created sticker. The 2 of them that we're focusing on are future voters. So really targeted at like the middle school age range. And then a first time voter sticker for those people who are voting for the very first time. So I will share that with any and everyone. And that is my update.
Wonderful. This was a great meeting. Thank you everybody for your input. Our next meeting is May 26th. And if I can get a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. All those against? All right. Thank you so much. Hey, Laura.